So what are we going with?
Rzning?
I like
This
that.
is a podcast.
I'm just gonna go anytime.
With Sims.
We're just two guys.
You want to hear
a lot of shit going on.
Listen to it, see what comes out.
Yeah, so I forgot to drop this in the group, but you see Rowdy Rebel just got released.
Who?
Rowdy Rebel, GS9. A week ago, niggas. Yeah.
Bobby Schmurder and them
Bobby
things.
Schmurder. So he's just out, right? And the display of ignorance at the prison gates. niggas get like,
I didn't even see
I'll
that.
find it's on our academic. It's on academics page. Them niggas is popping all the champagne. They brought racks and they put them on top of the car, piling them up. All the jewels, like all the.
That is.
So my big question is like,
for Insta.
yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know what them niggas was doing, right? Like them niggas was in there for crime. They weren't in there for like, oh, long story, might not have been. They were in there for crime. They did crime, real crime.
Criminal activities.
So now my question is this: why, like, we're celebrating the wrong things? We're all up on the camera, blah, blah. Why aren't there big champagne pops and blah 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 when your brethren starts a business?
Well, this.
Why aren't they like?
Do you know why?
Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a different group of people. So if I went to jail,
Yeah.
the man them aren't scream like if I went to jail and I did that shit, my peoples aren't screaming free my bro. They're coming to visit me, or they're gonna make sure that I'm okay while I'm in there.
Yeah.
But if they know I done that shit,
Yeah.
there's only so much celebration they can have. They can celebrate when I come out and I act like I've reformed. Like if I did a crime that was like a lifestyle crime. Like if I got caught for like fraud or something, I was
Yeah.
doing big F,
Yeah.
and I got caught, and then the man when I come out, man them can be like, oh yeah, I'm glad you're home, but like, what's the next move? Because my peoples look out for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't want me to do crime. These aren't the same people that he hangs around with. Those are the people that like, it doesn't matter what you do, we do it for a reason, by any means necessary. Or that nigga deserves to
It's
get tough.
different.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's like they're
yeah.
celebrating the fact that he's a G and he's now back out and he's ready to do more G shit. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
we're not from the same world.
Yeah. Regardless of like, obviously very different worlds, but in terms of the black story, black people around the world, and the perception of us amongst ourselves, and then the perception of like what others see. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the Bobby Schmurder story. Bare time, like not only on my timeline, but just like no matter where you look, you've got these same instances of people celebrating young stabber man who just got out of jail, and it's a big overblown celebration. Do you know what I mean? But the kind of so-and-so just started a business, so-and-so's got a new side hustle, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing that. Yeah, people will be like, oh, congrats.
Do you know what I
But
think
why can't we be shaking the champagne?
Do you know what I
like,
think it is though? And you'll be able to, we've been there. Like, see when somebody starts something, like a hustle or an endeavor,
yeah.
it's like there's not much to celebrate at that moment because you've just got it off the ground.
Yeah.
Like you might hit them up and be like, you might even share their story or hit them up and be like, yo, I'm so proud of you for doing this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But there's not really anything to celebrate
Yeah.
because you've not achieved anything.
Ah.
But being released from prison, you've already done your bit. You're celebrating the release because you've come through it. Now, when you look at like, especially in places like America, to survive prison is a fucking achievement, regardless of why you went in there.
Yeah.
It's an achievement.
Got ya.
So
Got ya.
when they jump out, there's like, I mean, I'm presuming here.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, I'm thinking, if one of my friends went to prison for any crime, as long as it wasn't like heinous, like, attacking vulnerable people or like children or women or whatever.
Yeah.
If it was like fraud or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like they got caught in a wahala and did some damage to somebody.
Yeah.
When they come out, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool. I'm happy you're out. Let's celebrate. Let's go do a thing. Like,
Yeah.
the only thing I would have reservations if you're still on that foolishness.
On that foolishness.
If you're still out here, if I step out to the club with you,
Yeah.
are you gonna be back in prison by the morning because you've done a madness? Do you know what I mean?
There's
Some man
certain
can't let the
guys who
streets long.
You can't, you know what I mean? You can't, but this is the thing, I'll put it a bit different then. So not starting a new business or something. I'll say they've had their hustle for X number of years, but now it's become fruitful. So now it's
Okay,
popped.
yeah.
So
Yeah, then we
similar way
celebrate.
to like someone who's done a bid in jail for X number of years, they've held it and now they're out. Same way, someone's done a bid with their hustle, whatever that might be, and now it's become successful.
Yeah, so I mean,
not many people giving the flowers. People are just kind of like,
yeah, because then at what point do you benchmark it? At what point do you say, right? Because let's be honest, if you start a side hustle, you're not really. Whenever you're in that hustle mode, you don't see the end of it.
True.
You're just hustling and you're doing your thing. So like we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
If this becomes massively, wildly successful, at what point do we stop and start celebrating? On the 100th episode? A year after we started?
I think
200 when we sell out an event.
Do you know what I mean? This is the thing. When a significant thing happens where it's like, okay, so and so's taking it. Like, say for example, the 3 Shots guys when they signed the Spotify deal.
Yeah.
Celebration. When they did the first live event.
Yeah.
Milestone. Celebration. So
that's what I mean.
That sort of thing.
I guess that's when you celebrate it.
Yeah.
But it's one of them ones where it's just like you have to wait.
Like, my viewpoint on this whole thing is like I'm sick and tired of seeing people who are known, like they've done something really bad out there.
Criminals.
Kramer. Like, it's not even like, oh, there's a shadow of a doubt and this is the circumstances.
Not even those like guys, good criminals. I know. You got caught. That's why you're in prison.
Yeah.
You're not even like, you're not Pablo Escobar.
When that GS9 thing came out and like all of the fuckeries that they were keeping up, the heavy artillery they were moving with, these guys were tooled up like a small army. Like, they had access to machinery in New York that was tantamount to a small army.
Moving like small Taliban.
Militia. They were a militia on the streets of New York.
They really were.
And I'm like,
absolutely mad.
So, yeah.
I mean, do you know what it is?
You got caught. You went to jail for that.
Like I said, man.
So
the way I'm looking at it is like there's two, not just two, but there's those groups.
Yeah.
The circles that me and you hang around in are not the same circles that would do that type of behavior. Mm-hmm. If one of us went to prison for something extreme, you know, our friends would hold us accountable for it. Be like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? When you come out, you need to pattern up. Do you know what I mean? And that's the friends group that we have.
Yeah.
Whereas other man, you do a whole madness on the street, say my guy, like he's a bad man. The police, free my bro. He ain't even do nothing. Okay, so why is he in prison?
So many people are quick.
He didn't do nothing.
Free my bro.
I'm not freeing nobody. That guy is a terrorist.
Free my bro, but in brackets, first and foremost, what did he do? Ain't nobody asking what he did. Everyone's shouting,
free my bro.
Free him.
No. Free my bro. Asterisk when his sentence is done.
Bus cards and doing fraud. You know what I mean? He was doing OAP bus card fraud.
Yeah, but them free my bros need to come with
guy
with T's and C's, bro. Terms and conditions,
bro. Young stabber guy, stab everybody guy.
Yeah, bro.
Free my bro.
But yeah, that's my thing. But what's it? I actually put this on my IG.
Yeah.
I got some wild responses, right? But I'll ask you.
Okay.
If you could find out the truth of any event that's ever taken place, whether personally or globally, whether present or historically, what would it be?
9/11.
9/11?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of people will say
because
9/11.
I got sucked into the rabbit hole of all of the different schools of thought on that event. So then I started to, you know, when it first happened, obviously rest in peace everyone who lost their life, big tragedy. But when it first happened, I was so convinced that, okay, we've seen it unfold. There's this guy called Osama bin Laden and this, that, and the next, you know, and I was just... But then further to that, I just started asking more questions. And unfortunately, the place I went for answers was the internet. And then it just YouTube, Zeitgeist, these...
Some of the good ones, some of the good ones were 9/11. That was a very popular one. The Biggie and Tupac, like who killed Biggie, who killed Tupac. That was a massive one. Is he still alive? Is Pac still alive? It's funny how no one questions whether Big's alive. Did he have an open casket?
With Pac is somewhat different. With Big, it's like, look, you gave us the juice, now gone. Cool. You gave us your legacy, now.
I kind of hear what you mean.
You're all right, big man. Like
Biggie might have been a dope guy and was a very good rapper. And he only had one album, by the way.
Yeah.
A very good rapper, and once he passed away, there was only a dribs and drabs of songs that came out. Now, I don't know if Diddy's holding on to a back catalogue.
Probably is.
Probably. Knowing Diddy,
on the low, Diddy's a snake, you know.
I've heard stories.
On the low, he's...
heard stories. But like, yeah, he did his thing, But Pac did a lot in his time that transcended music.
Yeah.
He was in movies.
Exactly.
He was a poet. His mom was a Black Panther. He was heavily tied with the Black Panther movement.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like he offered more to the culture.
Exactly.
So if outside of like who's the best rapper out of them two, I think just as a cultural icon, Pac is definitely bringing way more to the table.
100%.
So that's my thing. So I think
Just in terms of like legacy as well.
yeah, he's still banging
A
tunes.
revolutionary individual who just the thought process behind not only behind music, but the way he moved, the way he carried himself.
Yeah.
I read about all those kind of things with Tupac, and that's another dimension, another reason why I'm interested in that individual. Biggie, I bump a few of his tunes.
Yeah.
Further than that, there's no aspect of his personal
Do you know
life
how
that makes me-
wavy Pac was? Let me tell you how wavy he was. Willow Smith wrote him a letter. She never met the guy. They've never been alive at the same time. Decades after he passed, like what was it? A decade after he passed, she was born. So yeah,
Yeah.
she's never met him.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how wavy you have to be to want him to be your dad? To write a handwritten note,
Asking
and praying, like being unhappy that he wasn't your dad because your mum's been telling stories.
But
Will Smith caught L's that week, bro.
let me
that
ask
whole
you a
month.
question though, like interesting one on that
Rudeness.
one. In that household, think of this. What's given rise to her even knowing that the mum and Pac were romantically linked at some point? Has the mum, without prompt, has she just been coming out and being like, oh, you know, me and Tupac used to link, right? Like,
I feel like, as from what I've seen of Jada and some of the stuff that I've listened to her say, like on her own, like was it the Red Table Talks? She don't need any invitation to tell you about herself.
oh, she'll just spill.
She just that's what I've seen. I've not actually seen what she said about Pac or whatever, but
Yeah.
I have no that I'm not doubtful that she's just unpromptly and unprovokingly said, yeah, me and Pac, you know, there was this great man, Tupac, and make a big story out of it.
To that level of detail that
Yeah.
she can write a letter, a heartfelt letter.
And love the guy.
Love a guy she never met.
Wow.
And knows nothing about. Let me ask you a question though. On that slant, in your household, your missus, your kid is writing handwritten letters similarly about someone from the past. Forget that he's a superstar, but someone from the past. Well, the superstar thing in America,
So your mom's
like the superstar thing
ex-boyfriend.
is a big aspect
Your
of
mom's
this.
your mom's ex situation.
Yes.
Entanglement.
Who are you flaming? Are you flaming wifey or the kid? Why are you
That.
suddenly a book author?
Well,
writing-
you have to question the mom on that one, because what have you been telling her? Because I know I didn't tell her nothing.
Yeah.
What have you been telling the mom? What have you been telling our daughter?
Filling her head with
Yeah,
to start writing these
heartfelt messages.
These times, kids probably failing English at school, but at home, she's become a fantastic author with stories about "I miss you" to like a guy she's never met. I
Bro.
wish you were my father.
Do you know how?
How does Will feel?
That's what I mean. That guy took L's last year, man. Or was it this year? No, it was last. Was it this? It was last year.
People made the memes, but the same people who talk about like, oh yeah, mental health first. But then they were the first people clowning that he was crying.
People act like Will Smith because he's the guy, like the happy-go-lucky. You know, he's famous, he's rich,
the
he's
Fresh Prince.
good looking or whatever. He's the Fresh Prince. People think that he can't get mental. He probably is more susceptible to most of us.
Yeah.
Look who he lives with.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living with somebody like Jada is
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Not saying that she's the worst, but it can't be simple. Like mentally speaking, it can't, always wanted to ask you questions, always wanted to probe you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
It's-
let me live, man. Relax.
Let's get down to the crux of the situation. My guy lives with a snake.
He really does, man.
She's been putting in the minds of the children that, by the way, yeah, your pops is there, but forget this dude. There was a dude before who was this, he was that, he was this, he was that. And they've built up a picture in their mind of, fair enough, they've got the public's perception of him and how everyone loves him and all that kind of thing. So that's a part of it as well. He's not an unknown guy. But at the same time, the stories that she's feeding them about their relationship, it's got no place in that home. It's got no place. What's that got to do with anything? Like, in fact, she should try maybe just keep it under wraps, because ultimately it's not gonna benefit your situation. It's not gonna build it and be like, hey, we're doing real good. Do you know why? Because she used to bang Pac.
Yeah, nah, you have put some respect on Will Smith's name in that.
Man.
But you know, like I said, like I always say, you never
household
really
is
knows
janky,
what goes on behind closed doors. Like you don't know, man. But Yeah, I seen the interview.
Don't get me started on.
He was on
Entanglement with August. Entanglement. But
can
anyway.
never. And then that meme that went around of Will Smith looking like he was crying.
Yeah. And everyone catching jokes and banter.
But remember when did you ever see the interview when he went on to the Breakfast Club?
Nah.
And he spoke about how he felt some type of way about meeting Pac, even though Jada was like, yeah, you two will get along, like you're pretty much the same person.
I hate, why do chicks sometimes feel they should do be the get along gang initiator of oh, but you guys will get along? Hold on. Are you being serious?
Fuck your mans.
Are you being serious? The man that you used to link, you're now trying to.
Do you know what's funny?
Put us in a badminton
Yeah,
team.
because it's kind of mad because now you're saying, oh, basically it didn't work with me, it didn't work with him, or I couldn't have him, so I basically got you.
So you are second best, but I want you to.
It's almost like
friends.
it's almost like saying that's who I wanted.
Yeah, but I got
You're the beta version, so learn from him because
Exactly.
do you know what I mean? Fuck out of here.
Hey,
How disrespectful that is.
Do you know what? On so many, there's probably so much more to it, and do you know what I mean? So much other considerations.
Oh, 100%.
From my view, from where I'm sitting, yeah,
Disrespectful.
the conversations in that house must be crazy.
Alright, so other ones that people put in are very, very popular. What happened to Madeline McCann?
Ooh.
Bruv, the way that they keep resurging the story, even I'm like, nah, here's the thing. They sold that little girl. Or they owed money to somebody. And that girl was the dowry. Or they did something and that girl is that girl's disappearance is the result of the mum and dad moving mad. Or doing something or getting involved in the wrong people. Because there's no way.
Yeah.
What is it, 20 years?
But what I'll never understand is the amount of money that's been spent and continues to be spent. So I'm asking, why? How many millions did it get to the last time? The last time I checked it got something crazy. I can't remember the exact amount, 18 million or something like that. Of obviously resources, police time, all this sort of thing. And I keep asking myself, when other children go missing, is it an 18 million effort?
Do you know what
or
the
is
funny...
it because this one ticked all the boxes for media exposure?
Basically, yeah. But do you know what? Do you know what the funny part? Do you know what no, not even funny. Do you know what the worst part is? It didn't even happen in the UK.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If this happened in the UK, I get it. But they just were British people abroad. Do you know what I mean?
They
worse things happen.
And left the kids in the
worse things happen in the UK.
Yeah.
Where's the money? Where's the 18 M's for that? 20-year investment or however long it's been. But yeah, that was a mad one. So and then the other one was Princess Diana's death. A lot of people that said Princess Diana's death didn't really elaborate. I think maybe
straightforward.
She was in a car crash.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious.
Or maybe they're just the circumstances surrounding it did.
Yeah. But then you see as far as we're aware, you see what happened. They got caught in a car crash because the driver was being harassed by the paparazzi. So and then the car spun. So there you go. Is Jeffrey Epstein really dead? And if so, did he kill himself? Yeah, that's a mad one still. What was the other one? Why Hitler hated Jews.
Oh right.
Yeah.
That was a bit.
Someone DM'd me that, and I was like, okay. I mean,
heavy.
some people are just
Bit
mad.
much.
But you know what's funny? I visited Auschwitz recently, and when you go there, man, it's a very, bruv, it is literally it is exactly what it is. It's a death camp. Even to this day, when you go there, you don't feel right. You feel weird, and you're just seeing the grave sites or whatever, and you see the conditions that they lived in. And I'm just like, Jesus, man, they treated people like this.
Yeah.
Even though Hitler probably didn't see it for himself, in action. He might have seen it before it's built or seen plans, or he was never there to hear the screams.
Yeah.
But there were soldiers that administered this and caused said screams.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how does somebody do that? Even in the name of following orders. How do you wake up in the morning knowing that you're about to kill a bunch of people?
Thousands of people every day.
Do you know what I mean? For what reason? Because one brother said so.
Yeah.
Nah. See, this is what I mean, man. That's just weird.
The whole line of duty thing where someone spews some instructions and you throw your moral compass out the window and say, because these instructions came from the top, and you carry that out. It's crazy, bro.
You'd be
it's
very
crazy.
if this pandemic has kind of shown me one thing.
Yeah.
Is that when it benefits people, or at the very least doesn't inconvenience people, a lot of people are complicit to what they're being told.
Yeah.
And they use this excuse as the authorities have ordained this correctly. The government said that it's okay.
Yeah.
The police have said that it's okay. Or, you know, like you said, the Hitler said that this is what he wants to happen.
Yeah.
And they use it as an excuse to be like, well, if you're saying that I'm in the wrong, or I'm morally, you know, or I'm just being a sheep or whatever, I've been told, like, this people, like the government, people in charge have told us to do this, so I'm right. And I'm just like, being right doesn't mean legal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, at one stage, slavery was legal.
Yeah.
We know that shit was wrong. So, and I'm not obviously comparing slavery to a health pandemic, but at the same time, like, imagine living in what is considered a free world, a democracy, and still being complicit to the rules. No. Question everything.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? The House of Parliament are built up of people that don't represent the majority of this country. They're making decisions that don't affect them.
Yeah.
You think by that them telling you to stay inside, that doesn't affect them. They probably don't need to go nowhere. And if they do, they probably got people, they probably will.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like when they shut all the pubs, but the one pub, the House of Parliament pub was still open. Do you see what I mean?
Mockery.
Fam. And the only reason I closed it is because people made up such a big stink about it, which they should have.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to tell the rest of the country to shut down, you should have never been open.
Yeah.
That bar should have never ever had a wet, shouldn't have had a wet tap.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You lot should have you knew this decision was being made days, if not a week before you gave the announcement. From that point, that bar should have been shut.
Exactly.
But you know, people like to let the government get away with these things.
Exactly. Some
people do, and it's always the same type of people. The people who are not inconvenienced by it.
Yeah. You know, I was it's funny you should say this, because one amazing read that I first read it at school, but I'll always refer back to it, and I think I've read it about 6 times. And also a poem I read this last week. So George Orwell, 1984, like such a like in terms of like the things we see unfolding, which have happened in the past, and especially now, the world that we live in, regardless of the pandemic, just the systems that have been put in place, the control structures, the government, and also just the kind of the ways that at one point people will revolt against an idea, but then the spin and the way that they'll convince you that it's your own idea, and then you'll end up doing exactly what they wanted in the first place. So there was this poem called the illusion of freedom. I can't remember who wrote it. And it was a bit of a play on words, because the word itself, government, made of 2 parts: govern, to rule, mente, the mind. Right, so when we talk about a government, that is there, it says it on the tin, to rule the mind, to control the mind. So this poem was kind of like, it goes between like Latin and English, and has the play on words. And I was like, yeah, this is really smartly written. And I was just like, do you know what? Aside from the whole internet rabbit hole and all this kind of thing, like there have been people who've been talking about this stuff for ages. It's now with all this technology and all this kind of stuff, that stuff weighs into it as well. But the powers that be, so to speak, the big... See, when people paint it as like the big evil people somewhere sitting in a dark room, pushing and pulling. Nah, these people are standing in front of you in nice suits. Do you know what I mean? They're not sitting in a dark room pulling strings and being like, "Oh, I'm evil and I want this to happen." It's like, nah, these are people who will stand on a podium every Thursday night or whatever and say, "I'm doing this for your good." And then look where we'll be in however much time.
And it's quite funny, like, that we've gone on to that, because another response I got was, what is the government's agenda There was a few. The government's agenda behind with COVID, and also the government's agenda with Brexit. Like, not so much. Obviously, we know what they've been telling us. You know, the government's what they plan on doing, or what they haven't even reached a fucking deal, so they don't plan on doing anything.
Yeah.
But like, what's the real reason why this is being pushed forward so aggressively?
Yeah.
So that was another one. A few other little light-hearted ones. Who's better, blondes or brunettes?
All right. Okay.
What do you say?
This is the thing, though. Like, when that old blondes, brunettes. What does Afro hair fall under? Is that pretty?
That's a very good point. Well, this girl's white, so she's obviously just said that. This is obviously banter because she put a little smiley face at the end of it. But like,
Yeah.
I was like, who's better, blondes or brunettes? I'm like, I mean, girl, bro. Ask any girl of our age, like more a white girl, but you get some black girls as well. What color their hair? Pick a year and ask them what color their hair was. Bruv, girls have been. Remember when Rihanna dyed her hair red?
Yeah.
Like 2010, 2011 days.
And every top man shirt.
Oh my gosh. But not
Red
even
head.
that. Girls were actually dyeing their hair red.
Yeah.
And then, they're dyeing their hair red. Then they've gone to blonde. And then they've gone brunette. And then they've had that stage where they just got dumped and they went black hair.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, so really and truly, it doesn't really change who you are, but whatever. Apparently there's a science behind it, but apparently blondes do have more fun because people see them as lighthearted. It's like a perception of blondes.
All right.
But I don't know if that's a chicken and egg conversation. Like, do you treat them lighthearted because they're blonde? Or because they're blonde, they feel more like lighthearted about it? Like, being blonde is like a summery color or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, like, it doesn't really make sense. But obviously that was just a lightweight one. What's in Area 51? That was another one.
That's a good one. Remember when you're trying to storm Area 51? How did that start on like Snapchat? And
Man
Twitter?
was the Naruto run. I said, that guy is a king, crown him.
Loads of people actually turned up on that day.
Yeah,
Like,
and,
they sent
and
out
I'm
the
sure loads
memo.
of people were told, listen, if you cross this boundary,
We will shoot you.
spray season.
We'll shoot you.
Free my bro. We'll be
Immensely. Immensely, we will shoot you.
Yeah, bro, you will line you up.
How much time have people got in their hands where they're like, oh, this thing started, and I kind of want to know what's in there.
I think somebody did it as banter, made an event as banter on Facebook, and it just took off. It just, and then people were making duplicate events of the same thing, same date, and then that was getting millions. And then eventually it was just, and then obviously the date came, and a lot of people were like,
a lot of people bitched out, and they're like, not for me.
it was fun
Not for me.
until
Good
it was-
idea, but
yeah. I like life.
my car's in the shop, so I can't drive to, Arizona. It's long. I need to got a dentist appointment.
Okay, what's another one? Was Noah's Ark real, and did the flood really happen?
Ooh.
It's an interesting one.
I like that one. I really like that one because off camera, we actually had a very brief discussion about certain things in
Bible.
the Bible and the Bible itself. And my thing on that, right, why I find that one interesting, there's so many stories in there that are symbolic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of to teach a story, like a parable, to teach a specific story. So it's
Like
not
a fable, like
physically.
it's
this
about
happened.
a moral, yeah.
Yeah, it's about the moral of the story. So it's one of those ones where I'm just like, it's a fantastic story, and I would have loved it to happen. But when I think about the animals going in 2 by 2,
The logistics of it alone just don't make sense.
Hurrah! Animals going in 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah! It makes me think like, all right, so are you telling me that you had
Big
peacocks,
elephant.
2 elephants, 2 polar bears,
And do you know what's funny?
2 black mamba snakes?
Do you know what's really, really funny about this? Back in the day, like, there were more animals, more different types of animals. So, here's an actual one, funny one. So, obviously, we know from, like, research that they've been, like, what is it? The animals we have on Earth now are something like less than 10% of the animals that ever existed.
Scary thought.
Mad, isn't it?
Because you think how many like absolute killing machines are
And
still
here's
on
the
planet.
thing. You're talking about like Noah's Ark was supposed to be like in the Old Testament, right?
Yeah.
So what? Did they put dinosaurs in there as well?
Good point.
Like, do you know what I mean? There's certain,
T-Rex.
Bruv, how you put a T-Rex?
Basically, everything loading onto that ship was just lunch for the T-Rex.
Basically.
You're just loading food for the T-Rex.
Yeah, and because the thing is as well, even before you get to the whole how do you engineer a craft out of wood big enough to facilitate two of everything.
Yeah, hurrah, hurrah.
Before we even get to that bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you go about, like, if this was a great flood that basically washed the earth,
Yeah.
that would mean anything that has existed after that was on that boat. So you mean to tell me you was putting big Brontosaurus on a boat made of all wood that didn't have any, like, to be fair, it didn't need to power. It just needed to be able to be, it just needed to be buoyant. It just needed to float.
Yeah.
But then you've got to carry food to feed all these animals.
Yeah.
For 40 days.
Yeah. It's do you know what, another part of
And your wife is okay with this.
Do you know what, it must have just been a daily argument of like, Noah, come on.
Noah's stressed out, boy. Noah had like a full head of hair. It was all different, like wavy black or brown hair.
Yeah.
Everything was just like, he was just popping, skin was gleaming. Then God just said, big man, build this ark. Don't listen to what anyone else is doing. And every day his hair's just getting white, balding on top. Man's wearing rags because he's not washing and all these things. And his wife and his children is pleading with him, please, Noah. Please, please, please. And then when the first raindrop came, aha! See? But yeah, that's an interesting one.
A light shower anyway, and then it just goes. But this is the thing as well, like the modern, well, not, I say modern, so to speak, but in a vessel of that size at that time, in a modern ship, in order for that big structure to actually have buoyancy float, you've got big ballast tanks at the bottom, and you balance those, fill them with air. And so it makes me wonder, was this, you know, all the kind of retelling of the story, it's just a straight up wood.
Yeah.
Big thick planks of wood. And I'm like, so we've got the elephants, we've got the giraffes, we've got the polar bears, we've got...
And that's the mammals.
Yeah. And it's like
I said, bro, dinosaurs. Stegosaurus.
It's a funny
one.
one.
Stegosaurus, right? Just swing his tail to the left. Yeah. Whole side of the ship gone.
Yep.
Now everyone's now the last remaining species on the planet is obviously saving grace. You don't have to keep any sea life in there. So whales and them thing, obviously you wouldn't have to.
That's what I was about to say. I once had a conversation about this, and someone was like, "Do you know what? Like, yeah, that's a bit mad. Like, just think about the space a whale would take on the ark.
That's the ark."
And I was like, why would you be trying to load a whale
to protect it from water
into the ark? But yeah, that it's all. But if you think of the sheer size of like what it must have been, and we're not talking like each thing is in its little space, and we're not. Come on,
bro. But then that was before like Peter and them organizations, so you could legit keep a lion.
Yeah, literally.
But then again,
Jenga.
Again, this is, bro. Like it just doesn't seem plausible. It just does not seem plausible. A lot, like you said, a lot of the stories in the Bible, I feel like people have, whoever authored the modern day Bible, like the English version of the Bible, has basically failed to mention that these are all like metaphors or hypotheticals or like, do you know what I mean? Stories and, you know, parables and that you're supposed to learn from. You're not supposed to take them literally.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if we are, that would mean incest was a thing in the beginning of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the book of Genesis, it skips bare generations and such begat this and such begat that. I'm like, all of them in it. How did they beget?
Begat.
What? How did they beget them? Like what's like? How? Like you failed to mention that, you know, if you're saying, and Joseph apparently had bare sons. So what? Mum was getting. You know what, let me just stop. What's going on, people? You're now listening to the Rzning and Seasoning podcast with myself, Ellington.
And me, King Sims.
Make sure you check out new episodes every Friday on Spotify.
And weekly on YouTube.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Rzning and Seasoning Podcast.